It's a major embarrassment for the Congress. The former finance minister gets no reprieve from the Supreme Court. The Enforcement Directorate issues a lookout notice, asked Chidambaram to appear before it in the INX media case. After primary schools, it's the middle schools that reopen in Kashmir. Daytime restrictions lifted and landlines functional in most of the areas. A Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorist killed in an encounter in Baramulla. One Jawan Kashmiri security personnel martyred and one injured in the encounter. President Ramnath Kovind and Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed the Zambian President Edgar Lungu at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, who is on a visit to India. Bilateral talks and exchange of agreements on the cards. National Crisis Management Committee headed by the Cabinet Secretary reviews the flood situation in several parts of the country. The flood situation grim in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. In the BWF World Championships, India's HS Prannoy stuns former champion Lin Dan in round 2 to enter the next round. Hello and welcome. You're watching Doordarshan News with me, Nancy Kohli. A top story. The Enforcement Directorate has issued a lookout notice against former Union Minister P. Chidambaram in the INX media case. The CBI also issued a notice to Chidambaram asking him to appear before the investigating agency and the officer after failing to find him at his residence on Tuesday. The Delhi High Court on Tuesday had refused to grant any protection to Chidambaram from the arrest by the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate. Meanwhile, Chidambaram had filed a special leave petition in the Supreme Court seeking interim relief against yesterday's order of the Delhi High Court cancelling his anticipatory bail plea. The Apex Court Judge Justice N.V. Ramana sent the file of P. Chidambaram's plea seeking interim bail before the Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, to pass the order. And let's now go across to our correspondent Neeraj Singh, who's joining us with more developments on that front from the newsroom. Neeraj, troubles are clearly mounting for P. Chidambaram and major embarrassment coming in for him and the Congress party. Now, a lookout notice has also been issued for the Enforcement Directorate. Just put this into perspective for us, how now the issuance of the lookout notice for Chidambaram multiplies the troubles for him, and what happens to the case from here on.
देखिए बिल्कुल जिस तरीके से ईडी ने उनके खिलाफ लुकआउट नोटिस जारी किया है, इसका मतलब स्पष्ट हो गया है कि पी चिदम्बरम अब देश छोड़कर नहीं जा सकते, क्योंकि कल भी सीबीआई की टीम पहुंची थी उनको खोजने के लिए, जब हाई कोर्ट ने जो कड़ी टिप्पणी है उनके खिलाफ की थी कि और किंग पिन तक पी चिदम्बरम को कह दिया था आईएनएक्स मीडिया केस में। इसके साथ ही जो ईडी की टीम है वो भी उनके देर रात घर पर पहुंची थी। सीबीआई की टीम ने एक नोटिस भी चिपकाया था कि पी चिदम्बरम अगले 2 घंटे के अंदर आएँ और इन्वेस्टिगेशन ज्वाइन करें। अब चूंकि ये स्पष्ट हो गया है कि पूरा आईएनएक्स मीडिया केस में पी चिदम्बरम ने अपने पद का दुरुपयोग किया था और उनकी मुश्किलें उस समय बढ़ना शुरू हो गई थी जब इंद्राणी मुखर्जी और पीटर मुखर्जी, जो आईएनएक्स मीडिया समूह से जुड़े हुए थे, उन लोगों ने इस बात को स्वीकार कर लिया था कि आईएनएक्स मीडिया में जो विदेशी निवेश आया है एफआईवीपी के थ्रू, उसमें पी चिदम्बरम की जो भूमिका है वो काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण थी और वो पी चिदम्बरम से नॉर्थ ब्लॉक में मिले भी थी। पी चिदम्बरम ने ही उनको सलाह दी थी कि वो कार्ति चिदम्बरम के पास जाएं, क्योंकि कार्ति चिदम्बरम उनके बेटे थे और गुड़गांव में एडवांटेज कंसल्टेंसी करके एक जो कंपनी है वो चला रहे थे, और पी चिदम्बरम ने उनको सलाह दी थी कि कार्ति चिदम्बरम की वो कंपनी है ज्वाइन कर लें और उसके थ्रू वो आईएनएक्स मीडिया समूह में जो विदेशी निवेश है उसको वो क्लियर करा देंगे। और सीबीआई और ईडी लगातार इस केस में मामले की इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही थी, तो सीबीआई के हाथ कई सारे सबूत लगे थे।
Right, Neeraj, in fact, yes, the trouble is clearly mounting for P. Chidambaram, the former Union Finance Minister, and also in a major embarrassment for the Congress party and himself. The Enforcement Directorate has now issued a lookout notice against him. In fact, remember, of course, this has been issued after the agency, the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate failed to locate him, the senior Congress leader, at his residence yesterday. And now all eyes will also be on the Chief Justice of India, who has to pass the order in this case. As far as of course, the Delhi High Court had rejected his plea, in fact, anticipating his arrest, but now all eyes will be on the Chief Justice of India after Supreme Court said it could not pass an interim order on P. Chidambaram immediately, but Remains to be seen what happens in the case from here on, but it's a major setback that's come in for P. Chidambaram. The Delhi High Court has in fact dismissed his petition for anticipatory bail plea in the INX media case, and that has now been put before the CGI to consider for urgent hearing. And the Supreme Court, remember, has refused to pass an order passing that the order be passed by the CJI. Let's go back now to Neeraj, our correspondent, keeping a track of developments on that front. Neeraj, you were explaining to us what this lookout notice further means, because the agencies have been unable to trace the former finance minister.
देखिए, बिल्कुल ईडी ने लुकआउट नोटिस जारी किया है और ये इसका मतलब है कि अब पी चिदम्बरम जो देश है वो छोड़कर नहीं जा सकते। तमाम देश के जो हवाई अड्डे हैं, इसके अलावा देश की जहाँ जो सीमाएं हैं, जहाँ से भी विदेश जाने के रास्ते हैं, वो अब सारे रास्ते जो जांच एजेंसियां उन्होंने सील कर दिए हैं, वो अब देश छोड़ के नहीं जा सकती। दूसरी सबसे बड़ी बात है कि कल सीबीआई की टीम पहुंची भी थी उनके घर पे, जोरबाग स्थित उनके घर पहुंची थी। पी चिदम्बरम मिले नहीं थे, उनके जो स्टाफ है उससे सीबीआई की टीम ने पूछताछ की थी और वहाँ पे एक नोटिस भी लगाया था कि जो पी चिदम्बरम है वो सीबीआई की इन्वेस्टिगेशन को अगले 2 घंटे के अंदर ज्वाइन कराएं, लेकिन पी चिदम्बरम नहीं पहुंचे। उसके बाद ईडी की टीम भी गई, ईडी की टीम ने भी वहाँ पर छानबीन करी। इस केस में नैन्सी, मैं आपको बता दूं कि अब से 2017 से लेके अब तक क्या क्या डेवलपमेंट हुए हैं, इसकी मैं थोड़ी सी जानकारी दे दूं। 15 मई 2017 को सबसे पहले सीबीआई ने इसमें केस रजिस्टर किया था आईएनएक्स मीडिया वाले मामले में, और एफआईपीबी मंजूरी में अनियमितता को लेकर सीबीआई ने आरोप लगाया था कि 305 करोड़ का जो विदेशी फंड है उसमें पी चिदम्बरम ने अपने पद का दुरुपयोग किया था। उसके बाद 16 जून 2017 को कार्ति के खिलाफ एफआरआरओ ने एक लुकआउट नोटिस जारी किया था। उसके बाद कार्ति इस पूरे मामले को लेकर मद्रास हाईकोर्ट में गए थे और मद्रास हाईकोर्ट ने इनको थोड़ी सी 10 अगस्त 2017 को रिलीफ दी थी। उसके बाद 14 अगस्त 2017 को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मद्रास हाईकोर्ट के फैसले पर रोक लगा दी और केंद्र को लुकआउट नोटिस जारी करने के लिए मंजूरी दे दी थी। उसके बाद 18 अगस्त 2017 को सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कार्ति चिदम्बरम को 23 अगस्त तक सीबीआई के सामने पेश होने के लिए कहा था और कार्ति चिदम्बरम सीबीआई के सामने पेश भी हुए थे। सीबीआई ने ये आरोप भी लगाए थे कि कार्ति चिदम्बरम जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन है उसमें सहयोग नहीं कर रहे हैं। उसके बाद 11 सितंबर 2017 को सीबीआई ने जो जांच करी थी और उसकी जो पूरी की पूरी जो रिपोर्ट है वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में सबमिट की थी और ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट में बताया था कि कार्ति चिदम्बरम ने विदेशों में बड़े पैमाने पर लेन देन किया है। उसके बाद ही आपको पता होगा कि ईडी ने भी छापेमारी की कार्रवाई की थी और 54 करोड़ के करीब जो संपत्ति है कार्ति चिदम्बरम की विदेशों में और देश के अंदर वो जब्त भी की थी। उसके बाद 22 सितंबर 2017 को सीबीआई ने कोर्ट से ये गुहार लगाई थी, सुप्रीम कोर्ट से ये कहा था कि कार्ति चिदम्बरम को विदेश जाने से रोकें, क्योंकि उनको शक था कि अगर वो विदेश गए तो जो विदेशों में उनके जो बैंक खाते हैं वो उनको बंद करा सकते हैं। उसके बाद 9 अक्टूबर 2017 को कार्ति ने कोर्ट से जो कह सकते हैं कि कोर्ट ने कार्ति से कहा था कि वो अपनी पूरी जो स्टेटस रिपोर्ट है, कहाँ उनके खाते हैं, कहाँ उनकी संपत्ति है, उसके बारे में जानकारी दें। और इसके साथ ही कार्ति चिदम्बरम से ये कहा गया था कि वो इन्वेस्टिगेशन ज्वाइन करें। इस तरह से ये पूरा जो मामला है बढ़ता है। उसके बाद 2018 में जो ईडी है वो भी इस पूरे मामले में जो केस है वो रजिस्टर करती है। कार्ति चिदम्बरम की इसमें गिरफ्तारी भी होती है और उसके बाद जो सीबीआई की जो टीम है वो मुंबई जाती है और पीटर मुखर्जी और इंद्राणी मुखर्जी से वो पूछताछ करती है। इंद्राणी मुखर्जी वहीं पर सीबीआई की टीम के सामने ये स्वीकार करती है। इसके अलावा पीटर मुखर्जी भी ये स्वीकार करते हैं कि आईएनएक्स मीडिया में जो विदेशी निवेश आया है उसके लिए वो पी चिदम्बरम से, जिस समय वो वित्त मंत्री थे, नॉर्थ ब्लॉक में उनसे मुलाकात भी हुई थी। उसके बाद पी चिदम्बरम ने ही उनको ये सजेशन दिया था कि वो कार्ति चिदम्बरम के पास गुड़गांव में एक कंपनी है उसकी कंसल्टेंसी को ज्वाइन करें। उसके बाद वो आईएनएक्स मीडिया समूह में विदेशी जो निवेश है उसकी जो क्लियरेंस है वो करवा देंगे। दिल्ली के एक बड़े होटल में जो पीटर मुखर्जी और इंद्राणी मुखर्जी की जो मुलाकात है वो कार्ति चिदम्बरम से होती है और उसके बाद पूरा जो मामला है वो सामने आता है। उसके बाद सीबीआई की टीम आईएनएक्स मीडिया में छापेमारी की कार्रवाई भी करती है और वहाँ से कई सारे जो सबूत हैं वो सीबीआई को पता लगते हैं कि जो कार्ति चिदम्बरम की कंपनी है इस डील के एवज में एक बड़ी रकम उन तक पहुंचाई गई थी। तो अब निश्चित तौर पर पी चिदम्बरम की जो मुश्किलें हैं वो बढ़ती प्रतीत हो रही हैं, क्योंकि दोनों ही जांच एजेंसियों के पास पुख्ता सबूत है और इसके साथ ही जो मनी ट्रेल हुआ है, कैसे पहुंचा है, उस मनी ट्रेल की भी पूरी जानकारी है।
ओके। All right, Neeraj, request you to please continue being with us. So while this is the developments coming in at the moment that the former Union Minister P. Chidambaram has received, in fact, a lookout notice issued by the Enforcement Directorate. He's in fact also failed to win a reprieve after he had asked the Supreme Court for an urgent hearing. But of course, all eyes will be on the CJI. Let's go across to our correspondent Vikas Sarthi for that. Vikas, all eyes will be on the CJI, who will consider his bail request.
All right, Nancy. Now all eyes on the bench of Chief Justice of India, that what call he will take on P. Chidambaram's plea. This matter earlier mentioned before the bench of Justice N.V. Ramana, but he didn't hear this matter. He simply said that we are sending this file to the Chief Justice of India for appropriate orders, and now CJI will decide whether CJI himself will hear this matter or he will send this case to some other judge, because CJI is already engaged in their case hearing. A 5-judge constitution bench is hearing that case. Meanwhile, the Ayodhya hearing is going on, and because of that, till 1 p.m. there is no hope that this matter will be mentioned before the CJI. At 1 p.m. it will be clear that this matter will be taken up for hearing today itself, or by which judge, whether CJI will hear himself or will assign this matter to some other judge.
Okay, and the arguments that are taking place in the courts there, since you are there, Vikas, because the Delhi High Court had yesterday observed that P. Chidambaram is the mastermind, the kingpin of this entire case, the INX media case, and today also CBI has told the top court it's a monumental magnitude of money laundering case. So very important parallels being drawn as far as this case is concerned, and the case is just digging deeper and gaining greater magnitude by the day.
Right, Nancy. The Solicitor General of India informed the court that they are already in the caveat. They have already filed a caveat with the Supreme Court. It means that no order can be passed before hearing them also. And apart from that, CBI says that they have a very foolproof case to show that P. Chidambaram was actively involved in all these transactions, and Solicitor General vehemently opposed any relief to P. Chidambaram, though there was not much argument on the side of Chidambaram, as Justice Ramana already said that this bench is not going to hear the case. Even then, Solicitor General made all these submissions and said that Supreme Court should not give any kind of relief. This is a very serious issue of money laundering, where a huge amount of money was illegally shifted from one place to other, and CBI will vehemently oppose any relief which P. Chidambaram may got from Supreme Court. They have come with full preparation. They said their case is foolproof, and they will prove it before any bench, whether it is CJI bench or some other judge.
Okay. All right, Vikas and Neeraj, thanks to both of you very much for joining us for the moment and sharing all these developments and putting these developments into perspective for us. So trouble is mounting for P. Chidambaram, the former finance minister, in the INX media case by the day. Remember, yesterday the Delhi High Court had rejected his anticipatory bail plea, and today all eyes will be on the Chief Justice of India, who will consider his bail plea. But remember, of course, developments also taking place. The Enforcement Directorate has already issued a lookout notice against P. Chidambaram after he could not be traced by the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate. We'll keep tracking developments on that front, very important developments taking place in that case. But moving on now to news from Jammu and Kashmir, where the situation has remained peaceful across the state, especially the Kashmir Valley, where restrictions have been eased in some more areas. Middle schools in the Kashmir Valley reopened today. Earlier, remember, the primary schools in the valley had reopened on Monday. The Principal Secretary, Planning and Development, Rohit Kansal, said that almost 75% of the fixed telephone services have been restored by the administration. He also said that daytime restrictions have been eased from most of the police stations in Srinagar. He added that inter-district transportation is also normal and that the adequate supplies of essential items and medicines is being provided to the people. Barricades have also been removed from the commercial centre of Srinagar, the Lal Chowk, after a gap of 15 days, and vehicles were also allowed to ply there. Markets had opened and vehicles were plying as normal. All the arrangements have also been made by the administration to ensure the people are provided with the necessary material. Remember, work has also resumed in the government offices as well. And meanwhile, the Jammu and Kashmir police has appealed to the people to inform the police control room regarding any person spreading rumors or malicious content. The police requested the citizens to share information regarding such people by contacting PCI Jammu telephone number and the helpline numbers. And there on your screens, you can see those PCI Jammu telephone numbers being issued for the people of the state to report any rumor mongering or malicious content that they come across. They must report to the police control room. One terrorist has been gunned down in an encounter with security forces in Baramulla in Jammu and Kashmir. On a credible input, a cordon and search operation was jointly launched by the police and security forces in the Ghani Hammam area of Baramulla on Tuesday evening. During the search operation, the hiding terrorists fired on the search party. The fire was retaliated to, leading to an encounter. In the exchange of fire, two policemen sustained injuries, identified as SPO Bilal Ahmed and SI Amardeep Parihar. The SPO Bilal Ahmed had succumbed to his injuries and attained martyrdom, while SI Amardeep Parihar continues to receive treatment at the army hospital. This was the first encounter between security forces and terrorists in Kashmir since 27th July. Moving on now, the President of Zambia, Edgar Lungu, was today accorded ceremonial reception welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. President Ramnath Kovind and Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed the Zambian President on his arrival. Later, speaking with the media, the Zambian President said that India and Zambia share a close relation since independence, while adding that the visit will further strengthen the bilateral ties between the two countries.
Zambia and the Republic of India have been very close for years. Before independence in 1964, we got inspiration from the Indian people. So my expectation here today is simply to improve our relationship, and I know that we are going to sign some agreements which will be the foundation of an improved collaboration and cooperation. I expect much more than that. In fact, as we talk, we will be able to go into details.
And later, the visiting Zambian president paid tributes to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, at Rajghat. The Zambian president, who is on a 3-day state visit to India, will hold delegation-level talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister Modi and the Zambian president are expected to review the entire gamut of bilateral relations and cover issues of regional and international interest during their talks. An update now on the flood situation. Several parts in northern India are facing the brunt of heavy rains and floods affecting normal life. However, with the decline in the rain intensity, there has been some improvement in some parts of the country. In the hill states of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, floods and landslides have caused heavy losses. At least 38 people have been killed in the rain-related incidents. The worst hit state being Uttarakhand, where all the rivers are overflowing due to incessant rain over the past 2 days. The Ganga is flowing above the danger mark in Haridwar. Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat visited the areas battered due to cloudburst in Uttarkashi district and took stock of the situation. He directed officials to take all the necessary measures and pace up relief and rescue operation. The Chief Minister said that at least 15 people have lost their lives while 6 are still missing. And several others are also reported to be injured. In Himachal Pradesh, the situation is getting back to normal with no rains reported. However, a building collapsed in Hamirpur due to floods. In Uttar Pradesh, it's a flood-like situation due to overflowing Ganga, Yamuna and Ghagra rivers. This has led to the increase in the water levels of rivers in neighbouring states. In Punjab and Haryana too, many areas are facing a flood-like situation. Several villages of Ludhiana, Roopnagar and Jalandhar are still submerged because of cracks in the dams. Rescue operations were carried out in Jalandhar to evacuate those stranded. In Haryana, directions were issued to evacuate people from the affected areas of Yamunanagar, Kaithal, Kurukshetra, Karnal, Panipat and Sonipat. And in the national capital, Delhi too, Yamuna River is flowing above the danger mark, leaving many of the nearby areas and houses inundated. The water level at Loha Pul, the old Yamuna bridge, has reached 206 meters. According to Central Water Commission's Upper Yamuna Division, the water level is expected to reach the peak value of 207 meters between 1 in the afternoon to 5 in the evening today. The authorities have already shut the Loha Pull for vehicular traffic, and people living in the vicinity of the overflowing river have also been shifted to temporary camps set up by various agencies of the Delhi government. And relief and rescue operations are being carried out in all the affected states. At the National Disaster Management Committee meeting, the Cabinet Secretary P.K. Sinha reviewed the flood situation in Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Uttarakhand, Haryana and Delhi. Apart from 20 teams of the NDRF, the Army and the Air Force teams are also continuously involved in relief and rescue work. In another high-level meeting chaired by the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, an announcement was made to provide assistance of 4,000 crore rupees to Odisha, Karnataka and Himachal Pradesh. Former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister and senior BJP leader Babulal Gaur passed away this morning in Bhopal after prolonged illness. He was suffering from various old age-related ailments and was hospitalized for quite some time now. The Madhya Pradesh government has declared a 3-day mourning in the state following the demise of the former Chief Minister. His last rites will be performed with the state honours today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condoled the demise of the former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister and the BJP leader. The Prime Minister in a tweet said, I quote, Shri Babulal Gaur ji served the people for decades. From Jan Sangh days, he worked constantly to strengthen our party. As Minister and the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, he undertook many efforts to transform the state. Saddened by his demise, condolences to his family and supporters. Om Shanti, unquote. And moving on now to some international news, the Italian Prime Minister Conte has resigned following a decision by the far-right League party to present a no-confidence motion in the 14-month-old coalition government. The move on Tuesday leaves Italy in a political vacuum until President Sergio Mattarella decides whether to form a new coalition or call an election after the talks with the parties in the coming days. Mattarella charged Conte with heading a caretaker administration after he handed in his resignation, pending consultations on a new government which are set to begin today. Addressing Parliament on the turmoil unleashed by the League's move, Conte accused Salvini, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister and the Interior Minister, of trying to drag down the coalition for personal and political gains and putting the nation at risk of financial instability. Italy must agree on a budget in the coming months to stave off the rising tension with the European Union over Rome's management of its debts. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Thanks for being with us.